Commander Vrechner lounged in the deep recess of his command chair, mandibles clattering with irritation as the blue-green orb of the target world swelled across the view screen. Another primitive sphere soon to be added to the eternal glory of the Xarthian Empire. Another monotonous conquest, destined to fade into obscurity within the long scroll of his decorated career. How exhilarating, he muttered, voice dripping with sarcasm. Another mud-soaked rock crawling with half-aware mammals. He clicked his mandibles again, louder this time, glancing toward his staff. Remind me, why, exactly, have we deployed nearly 10,000 warships for this insult of an assignment? Strategic Officer Pelzak cleared her throat, her antennae trembling with unease. Supreme Command believes the humans might prove unpredictable, sir. Vrechner swiveled his eyestalks to her. Unpredictable. His tone sharpened. They haven't even achieved genuine interstellar propulsion. Their most sophisticated weapons are nothing more than primitive chemical combustions. Their communications? Invisible waves tossed into the air like savages lighting smoke signals. Yes, Commander. And yet, intelligence reports suggest they possess a curious capacity for. For what? Vrechner cut her off, his mandibles clicking furiously. For dying theatrically? For emitting irritating noises? For producing art so appalling it scars the eye? He waved a claw in dismissal. Wake me when orbit is secured. I'd prefer to conclude this charade before the Galactic Festival begins. My third mate expects me to return with one of those ridiculous souvenir tunics. The bridge crew exchanged uneasy glances. Their commander had conquered 27 worlds without defeat, yet an unspoken tension clung to the air. Supreme Command had never before unleashed such overwhelming force against a species still bound to its home system. Sir, Communications Officer Tlazak interjected, his voice taut. A transmission from Admiral Kuzvek. Vrechner groaned theatrically. Of course. Let us bask in the pearls of wisdom from our vaunted fleet commander. The screen shifted, filling with the imposing visage of Admiral Kuzvek, his carapace engraved with the golden sigils of the Imperial Elite Guard. His compound eyes glimmered with cold authority. Commander Vrechner, the Admiral's voice rumbled across the bridge, deep as tectonic plates grinding. Status. We near the human homeworld, Admiral, Vrechner replied smoothly. All systems in optimal condition. The primitives remain blissfully unaware of their oncoming erasure. In short, he gave a dismissive wave, it is Tuesday. Kuzvek's facial tendrils twitched, betraying his irritation. This is not a time for your habitual levity, Commander. The High Council has designated this operation as Priority Alpha. Vrechner stiffened, antennae flaring. Priority Alpha? For a species without faster-than-light capabilities? That classification is reserved for civilizations wielding quantum engines or dimensional warfare. These humans, Kuzvek paused, compound eyes narrowing like a predator's, trouble us. Their development curve defies precedent. Within less than a single century, they leapt from crude atmospheric flight to rudimentary exploration beyond their atmosphere. Vrechner tilted his head. Commendable for monkeys. Yet they still hurl tin cans into orbit and celebrate as if they've grasped eternity itself. There is more. Kuzvek's voice darkened. Our cultural analysts identified a trait uncommon in galactic evolution. Faced with extinction, humans abandon predictable survival patterns. They grow dangerous, inventive. The word sent a ripple of unease through the bridge. In Xarthian military doctrine, inventive was never a compliment. Creativity meant unpredictability, chaos, insurrection against control. So we bring 9,900 warships, Vrechner sneered, because these mammals might toss rocks in intriguing ways? Kuzvek leaned closer, his voice a low growl. We bring 9,900 warships because the predictive algorithm division ran 10,000 conquest simulations. Do you know how many ended in victory for us? Vrechner's exoskeleton chilled. His secondary heart faltered. How many, Admiral? Kuzvek's words struck like a blade. 8. The silence on the bridge was absolute. That's, Vrechner's mandibles faltered. That is impossible. The algorithms have never produced less than a 98% certainty against a species without interstellar capacity. Hence the priority alpha designation, Kuzvek replied. Hence the fleet. The Supreme Command accepts no risk. You will follow invasion protocol precisely. Any deviation will result in immediate execution. Is that understood? Vrechner's sarcasm evaporated like vapor in vacuum. Crystal clear, Admiral. Good. Kuzvek out. The screen dissolved, revealing once more the slow rotation of Earth, its swirling white clouds gleaming against ocean and continent. Vrechner stared at it longer than he intended, unease coiling within him. Sir. Weapons Officer Drex asked carefully. Orders. Vrechner straightened, mandibles tight. Proceed as planned. Standard conquest formation. Ready the first wave of atmospheric penetrators. Yes, Commander. Yet unease gnawed at him. 8 victories out of 10,000? What curse lingered on this world? Commander, Tactical Officer Gresner called, urgency rising in his tone. Unusual readings from the orbital layer. Human satellites are shifting. Vrechner blinked. Detected us? Impossible. Our stealth fields are absolute. Uncertain, sir. But the movements are deliberate. Calculated. A chime resonated from Vrechner's console. The first wave had begun entry into the human stratosphere. Soon, the apes would behold the might of the Empire. Soon, resistance would be crushed under inevitable conquest. Commander! Tlazak's voice cracked. Distress signals from the first wave. What? Vrechner snapped. Impossible. Display at once. The hologram bloomed into existence, 100 ships in formation plunging toward Earth. Then chaos. Red icons flared across the grid. Alarms cascaded. Guidance systems failing across multiple craft, Gresner cried, voice rising. Their navigation arrays are being scrambled. Vrechner lurched forward, eye stalks stretching to maximum focus. How? What weaponry are they deploying? None, Commander, Gresner replied, disbelief coating every word. No projectiles. No energy signatures. The ships are simply losing control. The screen showed penetrators spiraling wildly. Some tumbled upward, vanishing into deep space. Others burned as they plunged at lethal angles, their hulls igniting from friction. Recall them. Pull them back. Vrechner thundered. I am trying, sir, Tlazak shouted, frantically manipulating controls. But the channels are flooded, overwritten with nonsense. What nonsense? Vrechner roared. Patterns, Commander. Endless mathematical sequences, billions of them. Overwhelming every communication protocol. Vrechner slammed his claw down, the sound like shattering bone. His mandibles quivered. That's impossible. The humans cannot possibly tamper with our quantum-encrypted channels, Vrechner snapped, mandibles flaring in defiance. But as if the universe itself chose that moment to mock him, the main view screen flickered. A simple line of text appeared, written in flawless Xarthian script. Welcome to Earth. Please turn around. Vrechner's breath caught. His mandibles hung open in disbelief. The message blinked away, replaced once more by the chaotic spectacle of his fleet's first assault. Already, nearly 40 ships had been lost, burned to ash in the atmosphere or spiraling into the void, stripped of control. Commander, Gresner reported, voice sharp with urgency, the second wave is requesting clearance to launch. Vrechner hesitated. None of this resembled the carefully scripted conquest scenarios drilled into his mind. The humans were not supposed to detect them. They were not supposed to fight back. And yet, permission granted, he said at last, mandibles clenching. But alter their vectors. Bring them in from the planet's dark side, far from the densest concentrations of their satellites. Yes, Commander. With a snap of his claw, Vrekner opened a channel. Admiral Kuzvek, we are experiencing unforeseen resistance. The first wave has suffered 40% casualties, without the enemy firing a shot. The Admiral's colossal form filled the screen, expression carved in stone. Proceed according to protocol, Commander. This is why we deploy overwhelming force. But Admiral, Vrekner pressed, voice taut, they are subverting our guidance systems, corrupting our communications. We don't even comprehend the mechanism. Kuzvek's compound eyes glinted with disdain. Are you suggesting retreat? From primitives bound to their own sun. The rebuke struck Vrekner's pride like a lash. His spine straightened. No, sir. We will press forward. Good. I am repositioning the fleet into support formation. Kuzvek out. The screen snapped dark. Vrekner exhaled slowly, then turned to his crew. Deploy the third wave. Bring spectrum-wide countermeasures online. I want every human network silenced. Jam their communications until they choke on static. Yes, Commander. The tactical display shifted, icons of the second wave plunging from orbit along the shadowed hemisphere. For a brief moment, the maneuver seemed effective. Ships held formation, slicing cleanly into atmosphere. Then chaos returned. Commander! Grezner shouted, eye stalks trembling. Second wave reporting identical failures. Guidance disruption across the board. Vrekner's mandibles clicked furiously. Impossible. They are far from their orbital array. Negative, sir, Grezner countered. We're registering anomalous energy signatures rising from the planet's surface. The view screen flared alive with imagery from one of the descending ships. The penetrator broke through clouds, revealing the world below cloaked in night. And then Vrekner saw them. Lights, tens of thousands, spread in deliberate geometry across vast landmasses. Patterns that shimmered with purpose. What am I seeing? Vrekner demanded. Science Officer Mevner leaned forward, her eye stalks trembling with a mixture of fear and awe. Commander, the humans have reconfigured their ground-based power distribution grids. They are shaping electromagnetic fields, precisely aligned to our guidance bands. Vrekner's claws tightened. How would they know our frequencies? Unknown, sir. But the precision is surgical. They are not merely jamming. They are seizing control. As if to punctuate her words, the feed jolted. The penetrator's thrusters erupted without command, wrenching the vessel into a hard bank. A nearby ship, equally enslaved, drifted helplessly into its path. Both collided in a detonation that lit the skies like a false sunrise. Third wave reporting identical interference, Grezner said grimly. Vrekner slammed his claws onto his console, the strike echoing like thunder across the bridge. This is madness. No pre-FTL civilization should possess such capabilities. Not even in theory. Commander! Tlazak cried out, panic in his voice. Incoming direct transmission from the surface. Addressed, specifically to you. Every instinct screamed to ignore it. Protocol demanded silence until the target species had been broken. But protocol had already disintegrated. Put it through, Vrekner growled. The screen shifted. A human appeared. Female. Dark-skinned, hair cropped short, clothed in an angular uniform adorned with metallic emblems. Her posture radiated command. To Commander Vrekner of the Xarthian Empire, she began. The words resonated in flawless translation. I am General Audra Jefferson of Earth's United Defense Force. Allow me to personally welcome you to our solar system. Vrekner could summon no sarcasm, no jest. How do you know my name? Our tongue. Jefferson smiled. The expression was not warm. It was predatory. Let us say, we have been expecting you. Your approach was far from subtle. That is impossible, Vrekner snapped. Our stealth fields cloak. Specific energy signatures, she finished for him. Yes. Signatures we learned to identify in advance. You see, Commander, we had warning. Vrekner's mind reeled. Warning? From whom? How? Jefferson's eyes hardened. That I cannot say. But I can offer you this: turn back. We have no desire for war. Yet we are prepared to defend our world to the last breath. A spark of Vrechner's old arrogance resurfaced. With respect, General, you face nearly 10,000 warships, the most advanced arsenal in this galaxy. Whatever parlor tricks you wield against our scouts, you cannot stand against the Empire's full force. Her voice never wavered. Your confidence is understandable, Commander, but misplaced. Earth is not like your other conquests. We are not like your other prey. Vrechner's mandibles twitched. So I am beginning to realize. Jefferson leaned closer, her gaze like sharpened steel. We have already neutralized 200 of your ships, not with weapons, without firing a single shot. And believe me, Commander, we would prefer not to show you what we can unleash. Rage burned through Vrechner's chest. Is that a threat? Her smile returned, colder this time. It is a courtesy. One professional to another. You have never failed a conquest, Commander Vrechner. I imagine it would pain you to see that record shattered here. Before he could respond, the transmission cut to black. Sir, Grezner reported tensely, fourth wave stands ready for launch. Vrechner stared at Earth, its swirling atmosphere glowing against the void. A terrible suspicion gnawed at him. The humans were too prepared. They knew too much. As if they had been waiting for this moment all along. Belay that order, he snapped suddenly. The crew stiffened. Sir. Hold all launches. He opened a channel to the Admiral. Admiral Kuzvek, I request immediate suspension of the invasion. Something here is profoundly wrong. The Admiral's face filled the screen, storm cloud fury in his expression. Explain yourself, Commander. Vrechner's mandibles clicked in agitation. The humans were waiting for us. They know our names, our language, our systems. They counter us with impossible precision. This is not chance. This is not improvisation. Something far greater is at work. They were waiting for us, Vrechner murmured. Prepared specifically for us. Admiral Kuzvek did not answer immediately. Silence stretched like a blade across the comlink until finally, the Admiral's voice cut through, low and sharp. Your point, Commander? Vrechner's mandibles clicked. Either our intelligence division has catastrophically failed us, or these humans have encountered our kind before. The implication hovered heavy in the silence that followed, thick as the vacuum around them. Hold position, Kuzvek ordered at last. I am convening an emergency command conference. No further waves are to be launched until I issue the order personally. Yes, Admiral. The screen went dark. Vrechner turned slowly toward his bridge crew. Their eyes, antennae, and mandibles all betrayed the same emotion, shock mingled with disbelief. He forced composure into his voice. Status of the first 3 waves? Grezner's digits danced over his console. Of 300 ships deployed, Commander, only 87 remain operational. The rest are either destroyed or disabled. 300 warships, some of the finest in the Empire's armory, wasted without the enemy firing a single recognizable weapon. Vrechner felt something cold slither down his spine. Supreme Command had hurled nearly 10,000 vessels at this conquest. The Predictive Algorithms Division had spoken of only 8 victories in 10,000 scenarios. For the first time in his career, Commander Vrechner felt a gnawing certainty that he might stand on the wrong side of history. And somewhere down on Earth, General Audra Jefferson was smiling, watching, waiting. Humanity had already stalled the invasion before it had begun. But the game had only just begun, and humanity was playing by rules the Xarthians did not even comprehend. 6 hours, Vrechner muttered bitterly, his eye stalks flicking toward the chronometer. 6 hours we have drifted here while Supreme Command debates whether to prolong this catastrophe. The bridge crew remained silent, their mandibles clenched, eyes fixed on the deceptively peaceful planet turning slowly below. Earth's oceans glimmered, its clouds swirled serenely, as though it were ignorant of the carnage orbiting it. Nearly 200 Xarthian vessels now drifted as wreckage in its skies, silent monuments to humanity's unexpected strength. "Commander," Strategic Officer Pelzak ventured cautiously, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Permission to speak freely?" Vrechner waved a dismissive claw. "By all means. The corpses of our first 3 waves prove that tradition has already gone extinct." "Thank you, sir." She steadied herself. "I have studied the humans' defensive measures, and noticed something peculiar." "Only one peculiarity? Then you have not looked hard enough." Pelzak ignored the jab. "They are not trying to destroy us. They disable our ships, force collisions, drive us into emergency landings. But not once have they outright vaporized a vessel unless it posed an imminent threat." Vrechner's eye stalk swiveled sharply. "You suggest they are showing restraint?" "I believe they are being deliberate, Commander," Pelzak answered. "If their intent were annihilation, they would have done far worse by now." Before Vrechner could respond, Tlazak broke in, antennae quivering. "Incoming transmission, sir. From the command conference." "Finally," Vrechner hissed. "Put it through." The view screen blazed with a sight that froze the bridge crew into silence. Not just Admiral Kuzvek, but the entire High Command Council. 7 of the most revered and feared leaders in the Xarthian Empire, assembled together in a single call. Their presence in one broadcast was unprecedented. At the center loomed Supreme Commander Azkal, his carapace ridged with the scars of 1,000 conquests. His ancient mandibles moved slowly, voice like iron dragged across stone. "Commander Vrechner, your report is troubling." "With respect, Supreme Commander," Vrechner replied, his tone edged, "troubling is a quaint understatement. We have lost 200 vessels without the humans employing a single identifiable weapon. If I may—" "Watch your tone," Admiral Kuzvek snapped. But Azkal raised a scarred claw for silence. "Enough. We have reached a decision. The invasion will proceed, but tactics will change. You will bypass their orbital defenses and deploy ground forces directly. Once our armies hold key positions, their capacity for electronic disruption will be neutralized." Vrechner's eye stalks jerked upright in disbelief. "You want us to send troops down to the surface of a species that can seize control of our most advanced systems from their planet-side networks? With respect, Supreme Commander, that borders on lunacy." "Your concerns are noted," Azkal replied coolly. "But our analysis suggests their interference is confined to electronic warfare. In direct ground combat, we hold overwhelming superiority." Vrechner barked a bitter laugh. "Analysis? From the same intelligence corps that assured us this would be a routine subjugation of primitives." Several counselors bristled visibly. General Vorth, commander of the ground forces, thrust his massive claw toward the screen. "You forget your place, Commander. You will obey or be replaced immediately." Vrechner lowered his eye stalks in submission. "Of course, General. I merely wish to ensure we proceed with caution." "Your caution is noted," Azkal replied. 5th and 6th waves will deploy dropships to these designated coordinates. A planetary map flared across the screen, 20 red zones scattered across Earth's continent. "Secure these regions. Establish forward command outposts. The fleet will hold high orbit as reinforcement." "Understood, Supreme Commander." "When do we proceed?" "Immediately." The transmission died. For a long moment, Vrechner stared at the empty screen. Finally, he turned to his crew. His voice was hollow. "You heard them. Prepare the 5th and 6th waves for planetary descent." "Commander," Grezner ventured carefully, "should we attempt communication with the humans? Negotiate safe passage for our troops." Vrechner gave a bitter laugh. "Negotiate? With a conquest target? The Supreme Command would have my skull mounted above the Imperial Palace. Though," he muttered, "perhaps it will end up there anyway after this fiasco." "Sir," Drex called from weapons control, Fifth and sixth waves report ready for deployment. Launch, Vrechner ordered. On the tactical display, 200 dropships detached from their carriers, diving toward Earth like a rain of steel. Each craft carried 50 of the Empire's most lethal soldiers. 10,000 warriors, the terror of 3 spiral arms, descending upon a world that had already rewritten every rule of conquest. "Commander!" Mevner cried suddenly from the science station. "Detecting anomalous energy signatures directly beneath our drop trajectories." Vrechner's blood chilled. Pattern? Unclear. Intensity oscillating between spectra. Growing stronger as our ships approach. "Recall them," Vrechner commanded. His voice was a roar. "Recall them immediately." But it was already too late. The view screen filled with impossible brilliance. From Earth's surface, beams of light speared upward, shifting colors in patterns that defied Xarthian optics, hues that hurt to behold. They lanced into the swarms of descending craft. Yet they did not burn. They did not explode. Where the beams touched, the dropships froze. "What am I witnessing?" Vrechner demanded. Mevner's voice trembled with awe. Total system collapse. Every circuit dead. Even emergency backups are gone. "Commander, they are falling. All of them are falling." Vrechner watched in paralyzed horror as dozens of dropships, stripped of power, plunged helplessly toward Earth, steel coffins trailing fire across the night sky. Others, scrambling in panic, collided midair, their twisted wreckage scattering like meteors. "Impossible," he whispered, mandibles trembling. "No pre-FTL species wields energy weapons capable of bypassing our shields, let alone targeting specific subsystems." "Commander," Tlazak called out, voice taut with dread. "Incoming transmission. General Jefferson again." "Put her through," Vrechner ordered, the words tasting like ash. The human appeared once more on the screen. Her expression was grave, not triumphant, not mocking, but cold and resolute. "Commander Vrechner, I warned you." His voice cracked. "What have you done to our ships?" "Localized temporal stasis fields," Jefferson replied, calm as a surgeon. "Your drop ships are not destroyed. They are simply experiencing time at a different rate. When they land, we will release them." Vrechner's breath caught. "Temporal stasis? That lies beyond even our theoretical physics." Her gaze softened, if only for a heartbeat. "Commander, I will be direct because I believe you are capable of reason. Earth is protected. Not merely by us, but by accords and technologies you do not understand. This invasion was doomed before it began." Vrechner's mandibles twitched. "If you wield such power, why not destroy our fleet outright?" "Because we do not want to destroy you," Jefferson said evenly. "We want you to leave. To return to your empire with a message." "What message?" His voice was low, brittle. "That Earth is a protected world under the Galactic Concord of non-interference. Further aggression will trigger formal sanctions against your empire by the Concord Council." The word struck like a blade through his carapace. The Galactic Concord? That is myth. A children's tale of ancients long faded. Jefferson's lips curved into a knowing smile. "Is it? Then explain this." The view screen split. Space shifted. No, bent, and a vessel appeared in orbit where there had been nothing. Smooth, gleaming white, seamless. No engines, no ports, no weapons. It simply was. Mevner's voice trembled, awestruck. "Commander, I detect no emissions. No radiation, no drive signatures. No shield harmonics. It is as if physical law itself refuses to touch it." "Commander!" Tlazak cried, panic edging into his voice. "The vessel is broadcasting, on every frequency at once." Vrechner's claws tapped nervously on his chair. "Patch it through." The bridge filled with a new voice. Melodic, neither male nor female, speaking flawless Xarthian. "Vessels of the Xarthian Empire. This is Observer Talsim of the Galactic Concord. You stand in violation of Protected World Statute 17.3. Your presence in this system is unauthorized. Your aggression constitutes a Class 1 breach of Concord law. The crew stared at Vrechner, but he sat frozen, disbelief rooting him to his command chair. This is Commander Vrechner of the Imperial Fleet, he stammered. We were unaware this system held protected status. Ignorance is not a defense, Talsim replied, the voice serene yet absolute. However, as this marks your Empire's first documented violation, leniency may be extended, if you withdraw at once. A second screen flared to life. Admiral Kuzvek's visage appeared, his mandibles drawn tight with fury. This is Admiral Kuzvek, Supreme Commander of the Conquest Fleet, he thundered. By what authority does your so-called Concord claim jurisdiction over Imperial operations? A pause. Then Talsim answered. By authority of the 7 founding species, including your own. The words shattered the air. Vrechner gasped. Our own. Indeed, Talsim continued, voice calm as a timeless tide. Before your empire rose, your genetic ancestors stood among the 7 who forged the Concord 40,000 cycles ago. It was they who signed the Protected Worlds Treaty. For a moment, Kuzvek's face twisted with rage, mandibles gnashing. Lies. Human trickery. Then look, Talsim replied. As if summoned, Dregnall at the sensor station cried out, Sir, additional vessels appearing at system edge. Their design matches the first anomaly. Count rising, 172339 and climbing. They're not emerging from hyperspace, Mevner whispered. They are manifesting. Admiral Kuzvek's rage faltered, cracks of fear bleeding through. What is this sorcery? The Concord takes violations seriously, Talsim replied, still calm, still implacable. Earth has been under observation since your species was confined to a single continent. Humanity follows a developmental trajectory of profound importance to the Council. Your interference is forbidden. Vrechner found his voice, trembling though it was. Why were we never told of this protection? Talsim's reply was gentle, final. The question itself betrays the answer. When species know of Concord protection, they seek ways to evade it. Intervention is most effective when unseen, until necessity demands otherwise. Jefferson's image returned beside Talsim's. Her voice was steady, iron beneath velvet. Commander, Admiral, comply with the observer's directive. The Concord's patience is not limitless. For the first time since the campaign began, Admiral Kuzvek's confidence fractured. His mandibles twitched, his eyes shifted. We will consult the Supreme Command. 1 standard hour, Talsim replied. At its end, the Concord will enforce Statute 17.3 by whatever means required. The transmission ended. The bridge fell into suffocating silence. Jefferson's face lingered on screen. Vrechner glared at her. You knew. You knew of the Concord all along. She inclined her head. For 70 years. When your first scouts probed our outer system, the observers contacted us. They prepared us. 70 years, Vrechner's voice was hollow. That is why you were ready. Why you knew our language, our frequencies. Yes, Jefferson admitted. Though do not underestimate us. We crafted most of the countermeasures ourselves. The Concord offered knowledge, not weapons. Their laws are strict. Vrechner sank into his command chair, the revelation pressing like gravity upon his carapace. Then this entire invasion was a test, Jefferson finished. The Concord wished to see how we would defend ourselves with minimal aid, and how your empire would react when resistance defied expectation. Vrechner's mandibles snapped in fury. A test that has cost hundreds of Xarthian lives. Jefferson's eyes hardened. A test your empire initiated by invading a peaceful world. We would have preferred no bloodshed at all, Commander. Suddenly, the screen split once more. Admiral Kuzvek appeared, his expression stripped of arrogance. Commander Vrechner, he said, his voice leaden, you will withdraw all remaining forces immediately. Supreme Command has re-evaluated our position regarding Earth. Admiral, Vrechner asked carefully, you are ordering a retreat? Not a retreat, Kuzvek replied stiffly. A strategic reassessment in light of new diplomatic realities. The translation was clear enough. The Xarthian Empire was terrified of the Concord, and they were scrambling to withdraw with what remained of their dignity. Vrechner almost laughed at the transparent attempt to save face. Understood, Admiral. We will begin withdrawal procedures immediately. Kuzvek's image flickered away, leaving only General Jefferson's face on the screen. It seems our governments have reached an understanding, she observed. So it appears, Vrechner agreed, mandibles clicking softly. Though I must confess, General, I leave this field with far more questions than I arrived. That is the appropriate response, Jefferson said with the faintest smile. To learn the universe is larger, stranger, and far more intricate than you believed. Perhaps, Vrechner conceded. Though I doubt I will be the one holding such conversations. Failed invasion commanders rarely enjoy long careers in the imperial military. Jefferson's smile sharpened. Then consider a change of profession, Commander. The Concord values those who can adapt when faced with truth. Before he could answer, the channel closed. For a long, heavy silence, the bridge crew sat with the weight of revelation pressing down upon them. Finally, Strategic Officer Pelzak's voice cut through. Orders, sir. Vrechner's eyes lingered on the blue-green planet below. Recall all operational ship. Prepare immediate withdrawal from the system. And the disabled vessels, Commander? He hesitated. General Jefferson indicated their troops would be revived. I must trust the same courtesy will be extended to our remaining ships. Weapons Officer Drex bristled. Trust, sir. An alien concept to the Empire, yes, Vrechner said dryly. But these are alien circumstances. Withdrawal orders cascaded across the remnants of the once mighty fleet. As the battered armada began to disengage, Vrechner found his thoughts spiraling outward. How many other worlds had the Empire trampled underfoot, oblivious to Concord protection? How long had ancient eyes been watching while the Xarthians blundered arrogantly through the galaxy, imagining themselves supreme? Status, he asked. All vessels acknowledging recall, Grezner confirmed. Estimated time to complete withdrawal, 30 minutes. And the Concord vessels? Still present, sir. They appear to be watching. Of course they were. Vrechner had the unsettling conviction they had always been watching, long before humanity, long before the Empire itself. Commander, Tlazak said quietly. Incoming message. Text only. From Observer Talsim. A line appeared across Vrechner's personal console. We will meet again, Commander Vrechner. Despite himself, Vrechner shivered. 12 hours later, the invasion fleet regrouped at a rally point in deep space, far from Earth and its enigmatic guardians. Of the 9,900 ships dispatched in Arrogance, 9,487 remained. The others, disabled but not destroyed, were left behind under the Concord's assurance that their crews would be returned through diplomatic channels. In the assembly chamber, Admiral Kuzvek addressed the shaken command staff. His presence, once towering, now seemed diminished. The Supreme Command has classified all details of Operation Earth, he announced. No discussion of what occurred is permitted beyond this chamber. The official record will state that the operation was aborted due to environmental factors in the target system. Vrechner's mandibles clicked sharply. Environmental factors? Admiral, we encountered a mythical galactic authority, and you reduce it to weather. Kuzvek's glare was venomous. Your insubordination throughout this campaign is noted, Commander. Be grateful your prior victories protect you from harsher measures. Forgive me, Admiral, Vrechner pressed, but suppressing the truth serves no one. The Empire must re-evaluate everything, its strategy, its arrogance, its very understanding of galactic politics. That decision, Kuzvek roared, is not yours to make. With respect, Admiral, Vrekner countered, his voice steady now. We sent nearly 10,000 ships against a world labeled primitive. Barely a fraction engaged, and we were broken. Worse, we learned our Empire's assumptions about the galaxy are fatally flawed. Enough! Kuzvek thundered. You are dismissed. Report to your vessel and await further orders. Vrekner stood, scanning the chamber. Most officers averted their eyes, already adjusting to the lie, already burying the truth to protect the Empire's pride. As you wish, Admiral, he said at last. But as he reached the door, he turned. Consider this. If Earth is protected, how many other worlds on our conquest lists are under Concord watch? How many more environmental factors await us? Without waiting for an answer, he left. 3 cycles later, Commander Vrekner's vessel vanished during what should have been a routine patrol of an uninhabited system. The official record claimed an asteroid collision. No debris was ever recovered. And yet, at the same time, the Galactic Concord quietly welcomed a new liaison officer into its rank. A Xarthian. Scar carved across his right eye stalk. A sardonic edge to his speech, unusual for his kind. When asked of his past, he would only say this. Once, I commanded a fleet of 9,900 ships. We sought to conquer a small blue-green world. Only a few of us survived to tell the tale. But I will make sure that tale changes the course of history. And so ends the tale of Earth's first encounter with the Xarthian Empire, an invasion that faltered not through weapons of destruction, but through truths older and deeper than conquest itself. If you enjoyed traveling through this universe, Small Blue Diamond subscribe to the channel for more epic sci-fi journeys. Small Blue Diamond like and share this story with fellow dreamers of the stars. Small Blue Diamond comment below, what do you think of Earth's secret place in the galaxy? What kind of worlds or encounters would you like to explore next? The galaxy is vast, full of shadows and wonders. And this was only the beginning.